heard a cat. Yeah, there's a cat.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Made sense. Yarn.
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
A lot of birds in here. I love bird cages. These pictures. Are these birds at the house, Nate? Are these birds that have passed away?
Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
Yes.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Remember, its old house.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Ain't that some shit?
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Ingeborg. Can I look at this shit? Oh, you can't. Okay, fine. Edie was the sick one, I think, right? Obviously, she was the oldest.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house.
Oh,
My
shit.
mom was furious.
I don't like that. I gotta go in the basement eventually.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
It's a pink-ass bathroom. What the hell is that? Why would you make this your bathroom floor? This would be so hard to clean. This mirror doesn't work.
The only trace
They're
Grandpa
broken.
Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
What? Looks like a camera room.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Or Sam. Are these twin brothers? Yep.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
And it was 11. It's crazy.
Funeral. Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Crazy.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. Hard it must have been for her afterwards.
From 1944 to 1960, I see that.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
That.
20 minutes later,
That's the basement key.
hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Oh, no, play this shit. Alright, this makes it funnier. Walking on beat too.
She found Rick's crutch and
Check that
imagined
shit
the
out.
worst.
Ugh. Oh shit. Oh shit. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Creepy
The
ass.
gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Huh.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Uh-huh.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
She threw him out,
God damn.
but she kept a little something to remember him by.
This
Barb.
crutch.
Have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Oh, I know how to get into the basement now for future reference. Bitch. What the hell? Wait, Walter. This room.
Walter, are you there?
Psst. Walter.
Walter had vanished, but his
Oh, no.
bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
The slash singing.
Barbara turned,
The
saw the
sash
hookman, and
The
Was
mash
speechless.
flinging.
he was quite smashing.
Ugh. Fuck.
And he really was. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay,
Shut
Barbara,
him in.
there's gotta be another way out of here.
I know there's another way out. Because I took that way out.
That night, She played her part beautifully.
You wanna fucking go?
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned.
Fuck.
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
I'm gonna go down there and he's not gonna be there. Mr. Corn Hash Beef Slinging Masher. And fuck you up. Of course you're not there.
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Okay, so I gotta go to the door.
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara.
I'm at the door.
She heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Inside. The mash. Oh, there's two.
Oh,
Two
dear.
mash ringing hashers.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true.
What
Then
about
she
the
saw
mash
what
ringing?
kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
What?
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
I wonder if that bloodstain is still there. SOD. Alright, here we go. I'm trying
Edie
you
told me
without
all
in
Barbara
here.
wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
She's holding the fucking crutch. Okay. Alright.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
It's getting dark, actually, and I don't like it. Alright.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
I really don't like how dark it's getting. The obvious next thing is the music box. Okay, is this table actually broken like that? There's no table. It's not there. Oh shit. That part of the thing is actually... Wow. Alright, here we go. The key. Alright, Mr. Moleman. getting in down here. I ain't scared. I'm kinda scared. This is a lot more colorful in the comic book. But it's not that dark down here, actually. Sven. Let's learn about Sven.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot. I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Got an uneasy feeling.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
We got Rick in here, right?
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Cell phone or something for the light. It's dark. What the fuck?
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone.
Oh my god. Walter, that's the other kid, I think, right?
She said after Barbara died,
That's
he got as far away as he could.
Building a bomb shelter, that makes sense.
If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Yeah. I'm noticing that everyone died kind of young. I guess that was around the time people were scared. 2005. The fuck lived down here? What am I looking for? Oh. Can't be safe.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
Scared.
But if she never
So
told
many
me about an
books.
uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
How do flies get down here, first of all?
Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Fucking railroad? What the hell?
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.